Good morning, beautiful souls. 'Tis time for the June check-in. Now, I'm recording this a few days before the blue moon, which is a second full moon that happens in one single month. We had our first full moon on May 1st, and right at the end of May, we're getting another full moon popping in. It's a full blue moon in Sagittarius. Now, Spirit is showing me that this moon is like they're likening it to what was happening in the Sagittarian new moon around December last year. So a good thing to do is to look at your photo roll around December 1920 last year, which was in 2025, which was when the Sagittarius new moon was operational. And Spirit is showing that in that year of the wood snake, we were doing a lot of shedding, a layer of deep shedding. Little did we know we'd be going deeper and deeper and deeper. That is the trend. That is the theme this decade for humanity. But that year of the wood snake, whatever was coming up for you around that new moon, the sort of things you realized that you needed to shed. And the Sagittarian focus is around belief systems. It's around negativity. It's around low dimensional frequency. It's around limiting belief systems. It's around trauma-informed patterns in your life, whether they manifest relationally, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, intimately. It doesn't really matter how they manifest. It's what the root belief system is. Now, the year of the wood snake was a big shedding of these things that are trauma-informed, that are not soul-informed. I mean, they are soul-informed because it's the trauma that your soul has been through lifetimes on planet Earth and perhaps in other star systems, galactic wars, things like that. You carry that trauma within your soul energy body, and that energy body gets implanted into different, it takes up a little avatar in all these different lifetimes that we are living on Earth and in other places and realms and dimensions at the same time. Fundamentally, we're living them all. So, but the soul aspect, the soul self is the God self, is the source self. And it's not like you're an aspect of source, you are source. That's who we are. That's who all of life is. So this remembrance of that as a pure channel of source gets encumbered. It gets kind of distorted. It gets muddied. It gets, darkened by these traumas and things that sit in our system. So these limiting belief systems that aren't really in alignment with source, they're in alignment with traumatic experiences, with the densities of the physical world, third dimensional and less, that are low and dark. Okay, so what we were clearing in that Sagittarian new moon, we're also they were showing the snake coiled up around this belief system, and then they were showing that the snake was shedding its skin and trying to kind of shed it all, and it left the skin there around this belief system. It was shedding the skin, shedding the belief system, but it didn't disappear completely. And what they were showing for this full moon, even though it's a micro moon, it's actually having a very powerful, a micro moon means that the moon itself in relation to the Earth is very far away. So it's a very distant moon. It's a distant full moon. So that, traditionally means it's less intense. My experience of this full moon, because I always experience these a little earlier, and many of you who are energetically sensitive will feel the pull of this full moon prior to the official lunation. My experience of it is that it's not all light and it's pretty intense. So what we're doing in this year of the fire snake, they show the fire horse, they showed the fire horse, and for me they show a fiery unicorn coming in, this white unicorn with wings flying, that comes in almost like a Pegasian, a Pegasus, coming in and pulverizing the shedded skin of the snake. So what they're showing is that we're releasing, we are pulverizing, we are fundamentally dissolving these energies that were, these belief systems that were in play, that we've been really excavating. And I know I keep going on about this fact, we're going deeper, we are. The image they show me is that, we see the beautiful pyramids in Egypt, okay? We see all these beautiful temples in different parts of the world. Now, in recent discoveries with scale-out technology, with, where they scan, or even in sites that have sites that show, say, an excavation site, where they're excavating, they will uncover a certain degree of treasures or gifts or artifacts or antiquities, okay? So the pyramids themselves exist as this extraordinarily powerful and divine structures of great power, from civilizations that were much more advanced consciously than we are now, that we are remembering, we are returning to. And they showed that underneath the excavation of that it reveals more. So these scanning technologies reveal that there's all these kind of geometric, sacred geometries under there, these kind of advanced funnel column structures that exist beneath the pyramids now. So this is what we're doing in this period of human history. We're going deeper. Yes, we think we've healed something, we think we've dissolved all the trauma around it. No, there's another layer, and there's another layer, and there's another layer. So that gives you an idea of what we're doing. And this blue moon, this little extra bit of bright spotlight, it's like a full moon is this beautiful full orb of light that lights the way. But Spirit also shows me a full moon as somebody kind of looking through that beautiful orb down at us. And it's this, there's a few reasons why they show that to me. There is some corruption around the moon. Some of the aspects of the moon have been utilized, have been siphoned, taken over by dark forces who do monitor and look. But there's also an aspect of the moon that is to do with the full moon, which is really about shining a spotlight, a deep spotlight on what is important, on the way forward. And the way forward with this full moon is to release energy, release what does not serve any longer, okay? Now, the energy is coming in around this full moon, and I want to tell you, I'm speaking on the day of the full moon on May 31st at the Healing Society of Nashville. It's the Society Fair. It's the second annual one. It is a hoot, this event. It's really beautiful. It's an inaugural gathering of the sacred community. It's a free event for all of Nashville to attend. There is the Goddess Craft Market. There is, that's all set outside. It's beautiful. All of the practitioner rooms are utilized by practitioners who are running mini sessions that you can book in for. And there's several other members of the community that are doing presentations, and I'm one of those. There are 5 presentations, I think, throughout the day. Mine's on at 2 p.m. I'll be talking on awakening to the mystery, old spirituality versus new spirituality, and what I channel and have learnt from Spirit about where we're headed spiritually and what spirituality looks like these days compared to the more traditional ideas of spirituality that humanity has held and prospered from. Of course, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but there is a shift happening in terms of spirituality, our spiritual practices, the containers of spirituality, our experience of it, how we awaken, why. There are a lot of differences. So it's kind of looking at like the shift that we're making as in planet, as a Earth, from a 3D planet to a 5D planet. It's different, right? So everything that means on Earth and within its structures, such as its spiritual structures, have a shift as well. Okay. So I'll be speaking on May 31st on the full moon, and the energies coming in to support this moon are really interesting. They're kind of more masculine in structure. They're divine masculine. So I've had a lot of energies around protection, and you may see in my video here today some light. My guides have been very close recently. They're always close, right? But very protective, offering a lot of protections, a lot of clearings for me, because we're really in a phase, when we're doing this deep work as humanity, we're in a phase where we can be overtaken easily. We can be interfered with by lower energies, okay? By those lower energies that wish to control and siphon energy. So spirit is really showing up, and you will see them. They're showing up. A lot of angelic energy around, a lot of dragon energy protecting us down in the earth realm, because the lower realms of earth, that's where the dragon guides really prosper. They're the ones that really kick some butt down there energetically, whereas the angels can work more with the upper energy centers of our human bodies, of our humanness, for protection. So there's been a lot of angelics around. Archaea Clarity has been in. Now, she is the feminine aspect of Archangel Jophiel, which it's interesting because Jophiel is often presented as a woman, but and this, we're talking about the Archangel of beauty, of clarity, of foresight, of mental clarity, okay? And Clarity serves on the yellow source ray, but her energy is extraordinarily divine masculine to me. It's very powerful. She comes in this radiant light, kind of hair flying out. Sometimes she appears with dark hair to me, and sometimes that's very light blonde hair. Very bright, radiant yellow source light, yellow golden, okay? She does a lot of work on activating and clearing people mentally at the crown for their connection with source. And she's but she has this power to her. She's a very strong energy, okay? A very almost masculine, divine masculine. So clarity is coming in. I think that's really good, considering we're releasing belief systems. It's like, okay, sometimes when you release things, we're so over-identified with them that we don't know who we are without them. So it can be very discombobulating, very confusing at an ego level. Can be very confusing when we're healing, releasing, shedding who we are not. Because some of us have built whole identities and lives around that false self, around that, just a misunderstanding of who we are. The idea of who we are socially, the idea we've been fed by our families of origin, by our extended families, by our communities, by but not necessarily from source or soul. And as we awaken and remember who we truly are, there can be some difficulty, some kind of confusion, and some emotional confusion and challenge with that process, with really growing in a soul sense. So clarity is enormously helpful around that. And she's doing a lot of work with people. She's going to be coming in on Sunday when I'm speaking at the Healing Society. And she's also going to be there along with Michael. Michael is doing a lot of work, Archangel Michael, again around that protective. He's extraordinarily divine masculine, very powerful. He's been coming in for quite a few clients recently, as well as for me. He's very present. He's really he's always given this role as, you know, protector and cutting cords and energetic contracts, like very strong. But he's also really funny and light and very bright. I see him as a beautiful light blue, even like a strong electric blue color, and he's just so strong and powerful and just so sturdy, just so steadying. And I think these energies like Clarity, Michael, are extraordinarily steadying. They give us steadiness in times, individually, personally, and collectively, that are incredibly topsy-turvy. That things are upside down, north node, south node. Things are all over the place. You know, they're up, down, all around the place. Very discombobulated when we're shifting and changing like this. So, I mean, even the earth is moving on her axis a lot. So we're in this time of deep change, right? And when you actually, you know, when we talk about this shift out of an age of Aquarius into new ages, traditionally every 26,000 years, the earth does completely shift axes. So anyway, I won't go there. It's a different discussion. But so the energy's coming in around this full moon, and I'm not going to make this a June update because the video's already very long, is this idea of releasing at depth. Okay, now Sagittarian energy is also full of adventure. It's very it can be abrupt, it can be very spontaneous, you know, mutable fire, very kind of bright, eruptive, spontaneous. So that means that some of the emotional discombobulation that you may experience around this full moon is going to feel very sudden. You may be activated emotionally, whether it's sadness, anger, disappointment. It could be abrupt. And also for little ones, you know, I've noticed my little ones are a little bit, you know, quite sensitive. They're really, really joyful, or they're quite upset. You know, there's a sensitivity that is very it's a very quickness with Sagittarius. There's also, with this blue moon, we're in the Gemini season. Okay, so again, Gemini is just a time of such changeability, you know, the twins that are so changeable. It's an air sign, it's very flighty, and also, but I think Gemini, what's the real strength is Gemini is all about thought, and they're also capable of change. So this capacity to awaken. Now this month, my loves, I am told that by June 26th, we're going to be having this huge wave of awakening happening across the planet again. There have been many waves of awakening since 2012, when planet Earth moved into fourth dimensional consciousness officially. We're now transitioning to fifth dimensional. And what happens with each major wave of awakening, when souls like me that wake up, there's a remembrance. Okay, now that waking up can happen, yes, as a result of traditional spiritual healing practices. And often they go hand in hand, because those of us who do have a soul history of priesthood or priesthood in ancient times carry this desire. We're very attracted to spiritual models. We're very attracted to healing, both self and others. Okay, so of course they go hand in hand. But the awakening is a soul experience that happens internally. And this is something I'm going to talk about in more depth on Sunday, is this ability to to awaken, to remember. So this is what this moon is all about. And Gemini shows us that we have the capacity to change. We have the capacity to shift enormously. We have the capacity to go through these transitional periods, perhaps not entirely gracefully. We don't need to be perfectly graceful about it all, but we have the resilience, and we have these energies coming in of stability. Another I've had in recently is Kepri, is the god Kepri from I think it's Khepri. He is the scarab god from ancient Egypt, and he's an aspect of the sun god Ra. He's actually the dawn aspect of Ra. So there's these three aspects. Often there's triads in spiritual, vehicles. There's this triads that appear. We know that from Christianity, from Hinduism. Another triad is this triad of the sun god in ancient Egypt. And there's Ra, who is the daytime sun god. And then there is this middle of the day high sun. There's Atum, who is the evening sunset god. And then there is Khepri, who is the dawn god, the dawn of a new day, the rising of a new day. Now, he's been in for a couple of clients, actually. Scarab beetle. And the scarab we know is an enormously powerful spiritual symbol of life, of the dawning of new life. But really this is about resurrection, okay? Which brings us back to these sacred Christian teachings around resurrection. And let me remind you that the resurrection wasn't necessarily about Jesus being resurrected. The resurrection story is based on the hieros gamos idea from mystery schools, ancient mystery schools of Egypt, which shows resurrection as an internal experience. It shows resurrection as an internal experience that can occur, and it's something that happens spiritually within the system. It actually happens physically with hormones that are released from certain parts of the brain, the pituitary gland and the pineal, and it's the mixing of those sacred substances in the body and how they then integrate in other parts of the system down in the heart and the sacral chakras, all happening in the divine feminine chakras, by the way, is where and then that energy moves back up the major energy center of the body, the spinal cord, up through the Sushumna Nadi. And this is where one has the capacity to experience enlightenment. This is resurrection. It's the resurrection of the self. Wow, this has been a big discussion. I did not mean to go that deep, but this is what happens with me. Who knows what is going to come up on Sunday? And I also really want to encourage you to come, because on Sunday I and my beautiful sovereign space holder Kate Berry are launching our Sarasota retreat. This is a sacred retreat called Sarasota Song. It is happening from September 25, 26 and 27 in Sarasota, Florida. It's about attuning to your soul's highest harmonics, and it's going to be a glorious event. Now, there are limited places to stay on site, so we're launching all tickets. But the great thing about this one is that you also get to stay off-site and save. It's my cheapest sacred retreat offering yet. It's in the US for all of my US clients, so it's easy to get to. No need to go international. And it's in a sacral stargate of Mother Earth, which also happens to be a portal to Atlantis. It's going to be really, really delicious at a soul level, like really deliciously powerful and beautiful, very sweet. All the sunset energies, sunrise colors of Sarasota come to mind, and the crystalline beaches. You know, the sand in Sarasota has such a crystalline quality to it that this is why this is a portal to Atlantis. Atlantis was a civilization in history that really utilized crystal and sound frequencies for healing. Those traditions carried on in ancient Egypt, but we're returning to them now. So I'm sending you all lots of love. Happy full blue moon in Sagittarius, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday 31st. Lots of love.